Let's count them, shall we? Sugar Ray Leonard, how overrated was he? Now that's, anybody who's got any knowledge of him whatsoever knows that the term red rag and bald are not quite a public, do they? He also said that Joe Frazier won the second fight with Ali and was robbed. Now, if anyone's ever seen the second fight with Ali, Ali wins it so handily, it's like Pernell Whitaker and Ramirez or something. He wins 9 rounds out of 12, but skates the fight. He's well ahead, and he nearly stops him in the second round because Ali's got him in trouble, and Frazier, I'm not saying he would have stopped him, but he was in a bit of trouble, which is unusual, and the referee suddenly mysteriously heard bells and interrupted the round. And interrupted it before the round was over, you know what I mean? So, hi Johnny. We're talking about the Frazier Ali thing, but we're going to do that later.
Right.
Okay, well, Frazier Ali, funny enough, was always known as the fight of the century, March 8th, 1971. But the fights of the 19th century took place between the former landlord of this very pub, Tom Cribb, heavyweight champion of England, and a freed former Virginian slave not known as Tom Molyneux, that was his name. That's why he was called Tom Molyneux. Now, to explain the genealogy of that great fight in 1810 in East Grinstead, I have to go back a little bit further and explain how Molyneux, a former Virginian black slave, came to be here in the first place. He was predated by another black transplanted prize fighter called Bill Richmond, who was dubbed the Black Terror. Now, Bill Richmond, he was born in New York and was a slave, and in some unlikely set of affairs, the Duke of Northumberland, with a guy known as Lord Percy, was at some sort of function hosted by Richmond's master, and he took a shine for whatever reason to this young black man. I can't honestly tell you what kind of shine it was, or whether anything more suspicious about it. But he's taken him back to England with him. He's convinced the master to free him and let him take him to England with him. The Duke of Northumberland appears to have been a fairly enlightened man who encouraged him to learn to become a boxer, but also to become a cabinet maker, so he had a trade. So Richmond turns out to have been a very good fighter in his day and won several fights in and around London, and gained himself quite a reputation. He was also something of a dandy and a bon vivant, and used to be wearing the kind of stylish clothes designed by Beau Brummel. And it is said that he was a must-have, like an exotic feature at society parties at the time. And also his existence in London in that period of about the early 1800s was surprisingly unhampered by racism, apparently. But apparently because he was like a novelty then, and there was no en masse threat that black people represented, he was something, he was well regarded. The thing that had a big effect on his life and his desire to correct this situation was when he got a challenge from Tom Cribb, who was then heavyweight champion of England. Cribb was a giant of a man by those standards, although probably only about 14 stone 10 and 6 foot, today, but that was like people were smaller back then. He was a very hard man who could take an awful lot of punishment, not to mention deal it out, and he was said to have trained by punching the bark off trees. Richmond was a more scientific fighter and by all accounts a better boxer than Cribb, but when they met, Cribb's toughness outlasted him, much in the manner of something like Rocky Marciano and Ezra Charles. And after, I believe it was the 24th round, after a 90-minute battle, he was forced to concede, having been badly beaten. Now, Richmond never got over that, and he always wanted to. He knew his best days were behind him in the ring, but he wanted to find a protege who could defeat him. And how much better than a fellow American black man who suddenly. We need to describe how Molyneux came to meet him in the first place. He was a former slave as a son of a plantation in Virginia, and it was quite common for the masters to organise prize fights between the slaves with high stakes. Now, Molyneux is rumoured to have won a tournament or a fight which culminated in a series of fights that his backer had actually bet $100,000 on, rumouredly. Now, I'm not even buying that because we talked about the Duke of Cumberland's wager of $10,000 earlier. How much would $100,000 have been in 18